Okay, so yeah, it's welcome to the guide to CSCA exam. And here I will tell you what you need to know about the CSCA exam and what we knew so far about the CSCA exam and how you can actually prepare for it. So yeah, next. Okay, so we have 4 agendas today that we will discuss in regards to the CSCA topic. The first one is about the CSCA itself, what is the CSCA, and also more details about CSCA and how to prepare for the CSCA. And last but not least is some resources that we can share with you, including a downloadable CSCA guide that China Admissions has prepared for you, and also a walkthrough on how you can use the guide for your preparation. Right. So what is the CSCA itself? So CSCA is an entrance test for international undergraduates, and it is developed and administered under the China Scholarship Council. So it's a relatively new policy. So it's just announced like around October this year. And this new policy, these new requirements, the CSCA, it will provide Chinese universities with a common standardized benchmark to fairly compare applicants from all over the world from a diverse international educational system. And so beginning with the 2026 intake, the CSCA score report or the CSCA transcripts will become a mandatory documents for undergraduate applications to the Chinese government scholarship universities. So even if you're not applying for CSE scholarship, even if you're applying for self-funded studies, to majority of public schools and public universities in China, you are still required to take the CSCA exam and submit the CSCA transcript. And it is expected to be mandatory for all undergraduate applicants by 2028. And then about CSCA, so we'll dive in more into the more details about CSCA, and we will cover what are the subjects in CSCA exam, the format and technicalities, schedule and registration, and also what you can prepare for the CSCA. So for the exam subject itself, there are a couple of exam subjects in the CSCA exam. So for the mandatory subjects, it is mathematics. It's mandatory for all applicants, regardless of which major you're applying in your undergraduate program. And then if you're applying for Chinese taught program, then you have to take either STEM Chinese, which is required if you are applying for science or engineering based subjects. Let's say if you're applying for computer science or engineering or biology, chemistry, or like science program or medicine, then in Chinese, then you have to take the STEM Chinese. But otherwise, if you're applying for business, arts, or social science subjects, then you have to take the humanities Chinese. And remember, this is only for Chinese taught applicants. So another subjects will be optional subjects like physics and chemistry, which are required depending on which major that you are going to apply in your undergraduate program. And for the exam language, for mathematics, physics, and chemistry, they are offered in both Chinese and English. So you have an option. If you are applying for English taught programs, then you can choose the CSCA exam that are taught in English. But if you are doing the programs, if you're applying for Chinese taught programs, then you have to take the STEM Chinese or humanities Chinese plus mathematics and the optional subjects if required. And all the tests have to be taken in Chinese. Okay, so next one is about the exam subject mapping. So this is very important because once you know what the subjects are in the CSCA exam, your next question would be, what CSCA exam subject should I take? So that depends because your major and also language of instruction really determine your exam subject combination. Like I said just now, for instance, if you're applying for engineering and STEM program like computer science or mechanical engineering, if you're doing it in English, it's likely that you have to take math and physics for the CSCA exam. If you're doing it in Chinese, then you have to take math, physics, and STEM Chinese. And if let's say you're applying for medicine or bioscience program or biology related program or like science related program, it's likely that you have to take math and chemistry, or in some cases with physics too. And if you're doing it in Chinese, then you have to take math and chemistry and also physics if required, and also STEM Chinese. And if you're doing a business program, or maybe arts or social science, like political science or international relations or management programs. So if you are doing it in English, you have to take the math exam. If you're doing it in Chinese, then you have to take math and humanities Chinese. So the exact exam subject combination will follow the university requirements. So always double check with your target university, because what each university requires may be different. Say, if you're applying at Zhejiang University MBBS program, you are required to take math and chemistry. However, if you're applying to Fudan University MBBS program, you are required to take math and chemistry and physics. So it can be different like that depending on the requirements of the university. So always double check the exam subject combinations as according to the university requirements. And for the exam format, it's primarily online tests as a test that you can take at home with remote proctoring. And there will be offline test centers established in selected countries in the future. And for the fees, it's 450 RMB for one subject. And it's going to be 700 RMB if you take 2 or more subjects. And each of the exam will have a maximum score of 100. And for online or computer-based tests, the results shall be released within 7 working days. And for paper-based tests, which is the test that you take in the offline test centers, the results shall be released within 14 working days. So it's more important than ever to plan ahead, because you need to include the CSCA transcript as a required documents to apply for your university. And this is the technical rules for CSCA. It's especially if you are taking it as an online home-based test. It requires a 2-device setup. So your primary device must be a computer. You need to take the test in a computer, and it supports only Windows for now. So Mac OS unfortunately is not supported. So if your computer is Mac, then you have to find another computer, a Windows one to use. And then secondary device, you need to have either a phone or a tablet that is placed on a tripod behind you, because that will be a device that is used for the remote proctoring system. And then you need to also prepare like a scratch tools. Basically, it's like it's a thing that you can, that you can use for taking notes, or maybe for calculations, things like that, because no calculators, books, or phones are allowed in the test room. So you can have like a mini whiteboard, and then at the end of the exam, you need to wipe out everything and show it to the camera that you have wiped out everything. So to help you get the image easier, this is what you need to prepare. The first one is the mini whiteboard, and also marker and eraser. And then the second one is how, like the setup at the exam room environment. So you have to do it in a private room, and then it has to be quiet with nobody else around. And that's how you should set up your devices. You need to have like a working Windows computer for taking the exam, also with a webcam, whether built-in or like external webcam, that's fine. And then you need to have like a working speaker and microphone as well within your computer, because they don't allow you to use a headset or Bluetooth headphones, so they are not allowed. And then you need to set up the uh, phone or the tablet behind you in a tripod to, like as a camera watching you from behind. So that's how it's supposed to be set up. And in terms of the exam schedule, so the CSCA, they will be held 5 times in a year. So they will be held 5 times in a year. Right. The first one is going to be in December 21st. It's the first CSCA that will be held and the registration deadline has passed. The registration was deadline was on November 25th. So if you miss the registration for the December exam, then you can register for the next one, which is in January 25, and they will have another one in March 15, and they will have two more in April and June, which is to be announced in terms of the dates. Yeah, so they will have five schedule every year. It's going to be in December, January, March, April, and June. So that's why it's important to plan your time correctly for taking the exam. And then how to register for CSCA. You need to do it on their official website, which is csca.cn. And then you need to create your account using your full name, exactly as it appears on your passport, because your name and also your passport information has to be consistent everywhere, including later on in when you apply for the university. And then you need to fill in your application basics, including your intended major, direction, and program language. And you need to choose the subjects, like the exam subjects that you want to take. So you need to select the required mandatory subjects, which is mathematics, required for everyone, or the STEM or humanities Chinese if you're applying for Chinese taught programs. Otherwise, just mathematics, and any optional subjects like physics or chemistry if that applies to your program. And then choose the exam date, and then select your test mode as an at-home online test or an offline test in the test centers, and pay the exam fee. And then last but not least, you need to also carefully run the equipment check and prepare a quiet, secure room for taking the exam. So what you need to do to prepare for the CSCA exam, basically planning ahead now is a key. So you need to finalize the choice of whether you apply for a Chinese taught or English taught program, and also your major direction as soon as possible. So this is step one. Make your decision what major that you want to apply in your undergraduate program, because that will determine which CSCA subjects will require for you. And then the second one, you have to start preparing. Then you can start preparing for the CSCA. So you can integrate CSCA study into your overall application plan, focusing on your specific subject combination. So you can start preparing for your application documents, as well as preparing for the CSCA exam. And you can download and review the official CSCA subject syllabus. It's available on CSCA website, and I will show you the link to it in the next slide. And then last but not least, you can also regularly check university admissions pages and official CSCA announcement for the latest subject requirements. You can also check it on China Admissions, because we have an article that we will update periodically to give you the most updated information about the CSCA requirement. Right, so this is the resources that you can download. So you can download this. You can scan the QR code to download useful resources for your CSCA prep. So just an important information to always double check the latest requirement in CSCA website or in the university admissions page. So the QR code in the upper one is it will link you to the CSCA exam syllabus. So the CSCA, they have provided the exam syllabus for all 5 subjects, including mathematics, and then chemistry, physics, and also STEM Chinese and humanities Chinese. You can scan the QR code to go to the CSCA website to download the syllabus and learn from it. And then also the QR code below is the China Admissions Guide to the CSCA exam. So we prepared you a guide, a PDF guide, complete with the current informations on CSCA examinations that you should know. So you can use this for your preparation. Right, so I will give you like a quick walkthrough on the CSCA guide from China Admissions that we have prepared, so you can see what's inside it and how you can use that for your preparation to taking the CSCA exam. For this guide, it's a guide to the CSCA exam, and we are summarizing all of the important informations that students should know about CSCA. including what is the CSCA, and including exam structures, and some of the information that have already been discussed in the session just now, but also some more other tips, especially about preparation and about the technical requirements in more details on what you should be aware of before taking the CSCA exam. So yeah, you can download this guide later on. It's a free guide, but always remember that yeah, this CSCA is a brand new examinations for 2025. So information regarding the test is still developing. So this guide represents our best research and understanding of the current information. And no part of this publication may be reproduced or stored in a retrieval system or transmitted by any forms or photocopied or blah 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 because it has the copyright from China Admissions. Right. So yeah, we have covered in the information before about what is CSCA, but you can read in more details about what CSCA is in the guide and also about the key information of the CSCA, including the exam structure and subject requirements, including the exam duration. For example, mathematics takes 60 minutes and it will have 48 multiple choice questions. And then also the subject requirements by program type. And we give you brief information in here on what will be required depending on the program that you will apply. So we give you some scenarios based on the programs that you may be applying. But yeah, it's always important to double check with the university requirements. And this is the detailed syllabus summarized for you already, but you can download the detailed document from the CSCA website directly. And then they give you a detailed syllabus on mathematics, physics, chemistry, and also the professional Chinese, the science and humanities Chinese. And then, yeah, there's also a chapter about understanding China's education system and also scoring and validity that this CSCA transcript will be available 7 business days after you take the exam. And then scores are valid for 2 years. So this is also some more tips that we share with you, especially about planning and application timeline, because now that CSCA takes place, it's more important than ever to have a solid plan for your application, because otherwise you may miss the entire application session entirely, and then applying last minute is no longer a way to do your Chinese applications nowadays because CSEA is a part of it, and you have to, carefully plan the timeline of all the steps to apply to the university. So you can read in more details in the guide for this, for what you need to prepare. And also, yeah, and we give you also some sample of month-to-month action plan that you can follow, and also more detailed information on how you can register for the CSCA. It's been discussed in the PPT. And for the technical requirements in more details, what they expect you to have in your computer, like it has to have like Windows 10 or 11, and also the screen resolution, storage, blah, 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 because you will need to download the software for taking the exam. And then, yeah, for the scratch tool or the drafting tools, paper is prohibited. You must have like the small whiteboard with erasable marker, blah, blah. So yeah, we listed everything in here, including this, including the sample of the setup, how the setup must be like in your exam room. And then also how the online proctor exam works. Yeah, including the technicalities like what your computer and internet connection, your secondary device require. And then what is not allowed in the exam room, including beverage or food or books, notes, calculators, papers, those are not allowed. And then also, yeah, some checklists that you can use for technical readiness, basically to double check whether all of your equipment for taking the test is working properly before you actually take the test, because we want to ensure that you have everything going smoothly for taking the CSCA exam. So you can check all the checklists in here. And then also some pre-exam testing schedules. You can check it like before, like 2 weeks before taking the exam, 1 week before, and then a day before, basically to ensure that you have the perfect environment and equipment for taking the CSCA exam. Yeah, and also we give you information about the time zone conversion chart, because the exam schedule will be published in China time, but China time is not exactly your time zone, right? So in that case, there is some table here that you can use as a reference for what is it in your local time zone, but you can also double check in online in the time converter app to know the exact timing for the exam. Yeah, and then some more checklists for exam preparation, and some frequently asked questions or some FAQ that you can access in here. It's also available in here. There are some universities that doesn't require CSCA in 2026. Like for example, if you apply to BNBU, Beijing Normal Hong Kong Baptist University, or University of Nottingham Ningpo China, si An Chiao Tong Liverpool University, Sino British College, CUHK Shenzhen, they don't require CSCA for 2026 intake, including Tsinghua University. Unless if you wish to apply for CSC scholarships, then you may need to take the CSCA exam. So yeah, always double check the latest requirement from the university to know the latest policy and information. Yeah, so that's all for the guides that I can share with you. I will just go back to the QR code. So in case you missed it before, you can go on and download the CSCA guide that we have prepared for you to help you with the preparation and give you more information about the CSCA exam. Yeah, I hope this information is useful for everybody. I will give you some time to finish downloading the CSCA guides. And yeah, just another quick reminder, CSCA is just required for undergraduate students, okay, if you are applying for bachelor's program. Yeah, only if you are applying for bachelor's program in China starting for 2026 intake. So if you're applying for PhD, if you're applying for master's program, then CSCA is not your requirement. You can just dismiss the CSCA information. But if you're applying for a bachelor's program in 2026, then you have then CSCA is the required step that you have to complete to apply for bachelor's or undergraduate programs starting in 2026 intake. So yeah, thank you so much for listening to our presentation about CSCA information. So hope this is useful for everybody who's preparing for their application for bachelor's program for the 2026 intake. Thank you so much.